Welcome to Query Builder, a powerful way for you to easily interact with multiple different APIs and bring custom data into PowerMetrics. I have two examples to show you, and we're going to start by clicking on the Add Metrics button here. So as you know, once you select a service, there are many instant metrics available. These are curated, pre-built metrics, but today we're going to take a look at how to bring custom data into PowerMetrics. So I'm going to authenticate into Google Analytics, choose my profile, and here we are in Query Builder connected to Google Analytics where we can pull back some custom data. So I'm going to look at the metrics table. Of course, you can explore and look at any table and view there is. And oftentimes with APIs, of course, some knowledge of the API is important. So in this case, we need to set a start date and an end date for the metrics table. Not all tables and views have these kind of settings, but it's often a good idea to have a look at the table itself to see if there are settings that you do need to set. So as you can see, I'm going through the process here of setting our start date and end date. In Google Analytics case, we're choosing an equals sign as the operator. But again, this might vary with different APIs. And then we're going to choose, of course, our metrics and our dimensions. So I'm choosing channel grouping. I'm going to choose users and new users as well. And then we're going to see what kind of data that we get back. And of course, even though I selected start date and end date, I do want to bring the date column back because it's the time itself that allows us to visualize this on a line chart or bar chart over time. So here we have the data back. It looks right, the past 7 days. And once we're satisfied with this, we're going to click on the Save and Continue button in the top right-hand corner. And that will bring us to a modeler. And a modeler is really an optional step. Again, it has lots of power, but it allows us to further configure and double check the data. So we have the right kind of data here, the right format. I'm going to put in the name of this data feed as well to sort of keep it straight. And then, of course, we can get right into the metric building process. So I'm choosing users as my metric. I'm choosing channel grouping as the dimension that I want to segment it by date. There you see the date coming in handy. And again, the data shape of every API and the data returned might vary. Here, all we're doing is we're naming the metrics, setting the right format, and then, of course, the trend. And you've done it. You have created a custom metric based on data that you pulled back through Query Builder. All right, so if you're still with me, we're going to take it up a notch and take a look at a more advanced example. This time, we're using HubSpot. Again, instead of choosing one of the instant metrics, we're going to create a custom feed. We're going to authenticate as per usual. And then just like with Google Analytics, we're going to have a look through the API and the tables and the views that are available to us. I'm going to create a metric based on open deals. So I'm taking a look at the deals table inside of HubSpot. Now, as you can see, these views and tables get rather large with lots of fields. So I'm using the search functionality to be able to find the fields that I want. So again, I'm choosing our create date. We're actually going to set a custom date range. We're going to go back 14 days and pull data for that. And then again, I'm going to use the search field to find the other fields that I want. So closed, this is a Boolean filter. I want to only find the deals that are open. So we're going to use a filter later on in this process to segment that data. I'm also getting the owner ID, and I'm going to show you how to do a lookup later in this process as well. And then we're going to see what kind of data comes back. So the data comes back relatively quickly. Again, some APIs can take up to 30 to 60 seconds. So there's always a good chance that you need to modify your query. But one of the things I'm doing right here is I'm actually trying to get rid of the zeros in my amount column. So I set a filter that does not equal 0. We're going to see what kind of data comes back. Again, this is all in an attempt to clean the data up. And then the other thing, like I mentioned, is we want to have this Boolean be equal to false. So is closed, I want to be false. So I only want to see open deals for the metric that I'm creating. All right, so let's see if this is the data that we're looking for. Perfect, nice and clean, and you can also see that the deal owner, there's an ID for every one of those deals. Again, we've clicked forward, now we're in the modeler. I'm going to give the model or the data feed a better name, calling it Open Deals. Amount, I also want to change to currency, and that's going to affect all the metrics that we build off of this data feed in the future. And now here's where some of the magic comes in. I have a previous data source that I created from HubSpot called User Lookup. And this is where we want to use the ID of the user, and we want to get the user's first name or the sales rep's first name. So I am matching that ID, I'm pulling back the username, and I'm selecting it to make sure that it aligns with every single row. Using the merge or the join function is a really powerful way to work with APIs. Many times APIs are set up very discreetly where you have user tables, you have lead tables, you have opportunity tables, and each one of them have an ID that you can then use to perform a lookup and actually get better human readable data out of your data. So just like in the first example with Google Analytics, we're going through the process of setting up a metric. Again, we have to understand the data shape of the data that we're bringing in. We give it a name. You can see that it's already set up as currency because we set that in the modeler step of our exercise. And then we hit save. And again, we have built a custom metric based on data that we configured and pulled back from HubSpot and then joined to create a metric that is truly valuable. If you're still with me, I'm going to show you one other element. And although we don't expose it on the main user interface, if you ever wanted to go back and build any kind of lookup tables or go back and modify any of your feeds, by clicking down in the left-hand corner, you will actually get to the data sources area where you can modify and manage all of your data sources. That's it. Hope you enjoy it. Please let us know if you have any feedback. Thanks.